Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter. In the last episode, things actually happened.
A lot of crazy crap.
A lot of crazy stuff happened. We got chased by the ghosts, came through the TV at us. Like, we were, like, right before that episode, just sitting there complaining about, like, nothing has happened. Everyone's just, like, talking about how they feel about everything.
It was very touchy-feely.
And
describing the wall color in great detail.
Yeah, like, the whole, like, scene with him and Isabel, like, that stuff is fine. I think it was just, like, everyone being in their own head for so long. We're like, why is nothing happening? And then all of a sudden,
I just want to solve this, man.
Yeah, let's, we had a creepy dream, so let's see what that's about.
Ooh, that's good.
Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that's driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish as I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. Here we go. The early morning light already streams from the open windows when the memory sets in and the room finally comes into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, both her arms under her head while she continues to rest. Then to the chaos of papers and folders we've left scattered over it, before sleep has claimed both of us. We've bunkered down here last night. After both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part, staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone when there's that woman. Is she still the one in the first place? One that we'd normally call a human? Is she still one in the first place? I don't know. Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck. I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about this still matters when all our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her and this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon. I can't let that happen. I've dallied in this long enough, left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention. At this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It has caught my eye the night before, but with the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned at the top of the page, however, provides this paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
Oh.
She's going back to school? Is it for painting?
We'll find out. I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It has been 5 years after all, but I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she has never given up on it. Despite how things have panned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. As silly as this may sound coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring out what the deal with this curse is, I'll do so. If only to see that same smile on her from that time again. These days, the only moment she seems to show it is when she's asleep, like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears. A smile of my own forms despite this when I glance at her sleeping form again. She hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in a slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I've gotten it, carefully so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself off my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off from the floor and over to her bed, but doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
Perfect.
I often say that in my sleep, or so I've been told.
Not that I've noticed.
She drifts back to a deeper state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movement earlier. But the small smile on her lips remain. I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way. Better to leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about our problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her, a moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it after everything she has been put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella will definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them.
Did you just knock on the wall? Oh, is it Becca next door?
I thought so. Cold Luxborn air meets me upon stepping out the hallway. Not unusual in itself, this is what Luxborn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly drab with an occasional sprinkle of rain every few hours. The sky's still clear, but I'll give it a day or 2 before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rains for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in the world, when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare. That's probably all this is. Usually I'll say, I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What's a Zach? What does Rebecca? Oh, okay, because we showed him the photographs. Z-Man has shown me photographs, mentioned weird things happening around him these past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. Why else would he approach me, the guy who knows stuff, according to him? In the end, all I've done is give him the brush off, some reliable guy I am. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it too. She will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up to Becca's door, one slow step at a time, a stalling tactic to allow myself time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this when there's a 90% chance she's still pissed about the whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. We'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella, but even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking, once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure she has heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and the dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and in the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door louder this time.
Call her.
That would have been a rational thing to do. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up. I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy.
It's weird for that. Like, the landlady's gonna get pissed.
So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
Sounds like the guy that does Luke's voice.
I think it might be. My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole too. Course of action, so people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. Has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
This is why I don't miss apartment living.
Yeah.
People like you, Ash. People like you.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so. But at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I can't help but worry. It's an easy thing continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to Bull should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be.
Fancy these things called telephones, and it'll help you find people when you need to find them.
We're thinking way too heavily about this. It's like, but should I call? A call would make the most sense, but
I don't know. I would rather knock like a crazy asshole on the door and wake up half the apartment complex.
All right. Apparently, we're still monologuing about this. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right?
Call them.
Yes. Oh my God. Like, pick up the phone. Like, even if it isn't anxiety from concern dulls judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now.
All I can imagine is he's sitting outside with his hand to his head going,
like thinking all
monologuing this with the phone in his hand, and people are like, what the hell is he doing?
He's just like staring at it this whole time. 15 minutes go by. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess in my head. My mind is already. Oh my God, I was right. Oof, Professor Clark is under others, along with the chief. Who's Abigail?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Who's Abigail?
Have we heard about this Abigail?
No.
Is there a third girl in this?
You have a quad triangle.
This is going to start getting awkward. Pulling up my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience. Wait, what? Rebecca's patience?
Has no patience.
Nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there. The next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse.
Next time you call me, I need you to go through a 15-minute monologue of like, I don't know, our entire relationship up to that point.
That'll be, that'll be the next video. I'll just record. I'll just sit here and like explain my thoughts about what I'm calling about and basically my entire life story before calling.
That's fantastic.
Phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. All right, that I can relate to because I am the type of person who prefers
send
like
them a text and say, dudes, I'm on my way over. Are you at Zach's?
Yeah, because I'm definitely the type of person who prefers like talking to someone in person over.
Well, I agree.
Really, like any other form of
But you need
communication.
to figure out where the hell they are first.
Right. I'm not gonna like debate for that long. Becca first. There we go. I thought that was going to be a choice. I'm actually a little disappointed it wasn't.
I would have went Zach. He's got food.
I guess it wouldn't matter. I mean, we're so far along that I don't know that we can influence.
I would have went Zach because he has food.
It's true. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. Her ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now.
I see Ashton make her.
This is Isabella. Yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
That's fantastic. I want to make my voicemail message specific to one person.
Right. Especially if they call you all the time for it. I bet you she always called her and said, "Can I eat this in your fridge?"
That's funny.
Oh my God.
Probably just busy, that's all, though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be all right. Is all right. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough. Yeah, right. Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. All right. We're getting some backstory here.
They're little kids.
That is adorable.
She looks like that. She looks
Kylie.
Kylie. She looks like Kylie.
A little bit, yeah, like redheaded Kylie.
Might be just coincidence. Maybe they want to
probably.
make another kid sprite.
Yeah, like having to do another model. Although, I mean, if they went to the same school, that kind of makes sense. But like, even I think the hair is exactly the same too.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella too now, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. No. I would not have believed that.
What teenager wasn't a bratty kid and a horrible teen?
Issues. I have too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years thanks to the professor mostly. But at times I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustrations towards everyone else. Well, I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving, a habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I keep thinking about was myself, wondering why me? In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believe my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me, snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees a chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then on my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere.
Call Zach.
Zach, on the other hand. I think I figured out what it is when they were doing that, the whole thing about Ash. Like, we already know his parents divorced, and like that kind of, you can kind of assume that's why why he behaves the way he does. So I feel like they took the subtext of that and like made it actual text and spelled it out for you. And it's like, we didn't need that. I think we all kind of figured it out.
Yep.
I think that's where they kind of drag on a little bit. Mm-hmm. Zach, on the other hand, the guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people.
Are we going to explain every one of our friends through these phone calls?
Right? Again, like it is kind of interesting seeing it from their perspective, but I think a lot of this, we already were able to kind of intuit. And
I don't need it again for the ninth time.
Yeah. His mentions of plans yesterday didn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay at the very least, whatever he is planned on doing.
You're a detective. How are you not a responsible adult?
This is, I think this is when he's at the mansion. Remember Zach like looks at, I think he like looked through the window or something, or had the option to.
Go back to the diary. I think we're past everything. We're on the 30th.
Let's see. Anything? Oh, this was the day with Rebecca in the library. Mm-hmm. So that's why she didn't answer.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't think this was the day he was.
This was not the. This wasn't the day at the mansion. What day? All right. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of curious now. What day that was? I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be, if it were this day, it would be there. All right, we'll figure it out on our own. We'll let you know in the next episode. I think it might have been the 28th.
There's something with the camera.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Sorry about that. I was just kind of curious. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things. Rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers. Or his voicemail, at
Hey,
least.
it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again.
I love these people.
Do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
I think that's also why I prefer like when they're interacting together and not not in their own heads as much, because like the interactions are so good
This is
and funny.
hysterical. Like, I'm sorry, my voicemail literally says my damn name and that's it.
I don't even think mine says that. I think mine just says my number.
I think so, because once we switched providers,
Yeah, I never updated it. 'Cause who's got time for that? Did you
you
turn
can
it
make
off?
a rap out of it.
Tempting. And no one ever called again. Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it. Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like
Why
that.
isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in and out of range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said, and even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first to offer help or try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be so pretty. Oh, wait, so what? How did we make a choice?
I don't know.
That affected
I don't know
this.
how all these things affect each other.
The added guilt from those times I've repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me. Oh, maybe it's because Zach, we went to Ash when we could have gone to Hana. That's probably what the choice was.
Yo, Zach, call me back, all right? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look
If
good.
anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me the most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden or some part of me that is still that rookie, but I've grown thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that, a camaraderie no words can express. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've
Why
never
should
been
call Professor Clark?
right. Yeah, that would be the next one. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone another 3 times like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. Starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Now we'll just have to see what Zach has to say in the next episode. All right.
Be the ghost.
I hope not. I hope this is the day that he was just like outside the mansion, but I didn't see it in the list. So, anyway, that's going to do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.